Welcome to this episode of Dom Joseph Podcast. This is episode 149. I was actually kind of conflicted if I wanted to say 149 or if I wanted to say 149. Basically meaning the same thing, but we're here today. I was actually just getting everything set up. I got both of the cameras set up, which are both iPhones, by the way. If you guys are like really looking into getting into podcasting or anything like that, don't know what camera to get, just use an iPhone. It works just as good, and the recording limit goes as much as your storage space goes on your phone. So that's a good tip for you guys if you guys want to know how to do a podcast and are struggling what camera to use. Always just use your phone first, especially if you've got an iPhone. I'm sure Android has alternatives as well. I know they have cameras as well. I think they have better ones. But I'm not a green message guy. You know, I like to be the guy in the group chat that at least has a blue message. You call me a sheep, call me what you want. But, yeah, I like to be able to participate in the group chats without the liked messages, popping up or what, you know what I mean. Anyway, I'm Team iPhone. Unfortunately, a lot of people like to make fun of Apple, as I've gotten older, walked into the professional world or, working. A lot of people can't wait to kind of just rain on your parade when they got a Dell in front of them. I walk in with a laptop, I'm editing, and they want to say, well, this Dell does the same thing for a fraction of price. And I'm not even worried about you, dude. I don't care what computer you use. I've had people come up to me who don't even know me when I walk into a job site and try to grill my computer for no reason. Like, dude, I don't even know your name and you're already kind of talking crap about my computer. It's like, they'll come up and be like, oh, Mac guy. You're a Mac guy. I just, I don't even really pay him any mind anymore. I guess I've gotten to the point where I just don't even need to argue why I have a Mac anymore. I just go, yep, it does good for what I do. And I used to give people like this long reason of why I had a Mac. Oh, yeah, I got this for Christmas a long, long time ago. Couple of my relatives or my mom and Nancy put some money together to get me a laptop. I would give them the whole story. Now it's like, I don't need to do that. Yeah, dude, like, I'm sorry you're on a Dell, and I'm sorry you're on a Linux still. Your job doesn't buy you these things, but I hope it gets your job done too. But anyways, we're here with another episode. Remember, it's 149 of the Dom Joseph Podcast, so let's get right into this episode with some good tunes. Always a great song to come in here on DJP, one of my favorite songs. Of course, we always like to play it. It has the summer vibes. When fall comes around, we might be switching it up. So remember, you guys, we can always choose new songs. Remember, if you guys have songs and you're an artist yourself, reach out and say, hey, Dom, play my song on your next pod, and I will. Or use that as the next intro. I use this one because it kind of I like the vibe, how it bleeds into the show. But, if you're a new artist trying to get your exposure out there, that's always something, man. Anything you could do to get your stuff out there is important. I remember my buddy Alex, so Verbose, if you guys have heard him before on here. I met him at the Native Center at Wazoo, and he was like, oh, I want to get my music out there. And I remember he already had a following, of course, and I thought it was so cool that we collabed, and he let me use some of his music for the pod, and it goes hand in hand. So, that was really cool. Also, shout out to him. He just released an album. So if you guys want to go listen to Verbose's new stuff, got some fire stuff, man. My favorite song on there is Ride. There's a lot of good ones on there. I really like the theme he's got going. It reminds me of, I don't know if you guys have played Left 4 Dead before, But Left 4 Dead 2 had this sequence in chapter 2, I believe, and it was Carnival. And you had to run through like this haunted, zombie infested carnival and get this, the Noam Chomsky, or get something to the end. And when I see his album cover, it reminds me of those times when I'd play Left 4 Dead with my brother. But yeah. Anyways, so what's everyone else been up to? That's a good question I like to ask people. Me, I've been up to graduated. I think I talked about that last time. What else did I went camping. Yes, I went camping. It was a good time. So we went to Cabela's and we got the whole, we did the whole thing. And the thing is about camping is I enjoy camping. I really do. But I think the entryway into camping is the hardest part. You go with your friends, you go camp and stuff, and sometimes they loan you their stuff, and that's really nice, right? So I went to this one camping strip with my buddy Thomas and his dad one time, and I know he won't mind me sharing the story. And they hooked me up. Like, I remember part of the deal was, since I didn't have anything, they're like, well, we'll have you carry the heavier things or whatever. It wasn't even that much heavier. It was like 5 pounds difference. But 5 pounds adds up when you're hiking too. May I remind you. So we went on this hike, and I had like this Forrest Gump external pack looking thing. It was so cool. I thought I was like in the jungle in the war or something, had things clipped on. I just felt really cool, and when we got back, I brought all this stuff back, and that was all theirs. And I didn't have to really worry about it. But now, people say, hey, Dom, why don't we go camping? Or my girlfriend does. And I was like, all right, let's go. But now, you got to buy those things. You got to get those things for yourself. So I went to Cabela's and got the stuff. And I realized this stuff is sort of spendy. I could see why there's like an entry. I mean, a lot of people be like, not really, Dom. You could do it for cheap if you just, do it like this, blah, blah, blah. You don't need to get all fancy stuff. I didn't get the fancy stuff. In fact, I was kind of being, I don't want to say frugal, but, I need to be better at that. So we got the tent. I had a tarp for the below. So let me just tell you what I got. I got a sleeping bag. My girlfriend got a tent. We got like the dry packs or whatever. We didn't get no mats or anything because we figured the sleeping bags would be enough cushion, and they were. And we also had another blanket in the car. And then there's like this inflatable pillow, but I brought one from home because we were in a car. Also, like if you're hiking and camping, that's a difference too. I'm starting to kind of sound like a Washington guy right now. But yeah, we did that, and it was real cool, and got the stuff, and it was kind of spendy. I'll be honest, it was like $350 for everything. But mind you, that's like a tent, sleeping bag, another bag, and then we also got like those. We got like a little grill too. So it's like a little propane one, and then you have to buy the propane too. But it was a good time. So we went camping, had fun. I guess that's always really the thing too when you're going camping, is like picking the spot. You stay at someone's house, and you're like, all right, where do we want to stay? It's like you always want to find the more, I almost said plushy, more comfortable grass, or has a little bit of like oomph to it, Anyway, there's been a lot going on in the world, The Supreme Court actually struck down affirmative action in college admissions. That was a big thing. For those of you who don't know what that is, it's basically declaring race cannot be a factor and forcing institutions of higher education to look for new ways to achieve diverse student bodies. What do I think about this? I actually had a couple people DM me and say, are you going to talk about the affirmative action thing? Yes. It's really unfortunate. I mean, I look at college institutions and they're predominantly white anyway. And I thankfully got into my school and I graduated. But, without those certain things, I know there's a lot of people who wouldn't be where they are today. And I think what the really big problem is how are you going to already make it harder for people who are minorities to get into schools that are already predominantly white. And another big thing too, if we're going to talk about it, is legacy admissions. A lot of people want to say, oh, well, what about the legacy admissions? And they're right. Because you look at some places like Harvard, where they are having all these people who are automatically accepted because their parents were, and then you look at who their parents were. Can you guess what race they were? Exactly. So then you look at all your legacy admissions, and then outside of that, you have the other people who are applying. And who do you guess who's going to apply? Obviously, everybody. But then you look at the predominantly white people who are going to higher education, and then you look at the small percentage of minorities who are going, and then now you take the race thing, which makes them different in the admissions, and makes them stand out, which shouldn't, in certain things. You shouldn't look at it like that. But in something like this, it should definitely be, I don't know, man. It was just a big letdown, to be honest with you. I might be tongue twisting some stuff up here, but, I'm just trying to be real. And I think if you're going to prevent an equal opportunity to minorities, I think that's a bad thing if you're not going to help out. So that's a big letdown. I've also heard that private institutions it's up to their discretion if they want to do this. So we'll see if places like Ivy League schools that aren't publicly funded, what they will do. I'd like to think they will probably follow suit and do what public institutions are doing, but maybe not. So, yeah, my thing on affirmative action, I think it's fucked up. I don't like to swear on here, but yeah, I think it's fucked up that they did that. Because I know in a lot of my admissions or in a lot of stuff I would write, that would help me, So, yeah, we'll see what the future tells. I know a lot of people who are probably like more woke and more well read on this topic could probably say a lot more better things, but just letting you know, my thoughts on that. Not a fan of it, man. It's messed up. It's big time. What else do I got on here on a little bit of a lighter note? Oh, yes, Boom City is now over. Boom City fireworks are done, I should say customers, they're finally done just looking. A lot of customers come through fireworks season, they come look at your stand. I'm just looking. Just, gauging prices. Or what's another good one? Oh, yeah, just doing the laps. Or they act like they don't even hear you. That's something, too. They don't even, for those of you guys who aren't watching on video, I basically just made a blank face and just looked like I was walking. So, yeah, selling fireworks, yeah, man, people were just looking all the time. That's always something. Just looking. Yep, just looking. But yeah, what else? Selling fireworks was great. A lot of people came out, did their thing. It was successful. My cousin and my uncle, we did pretty good. I should say, this is not an ad, but Square did a pretty good job. It didn't really lag, but I think that more goes to the people who were on the committee who got us better Wi-Fi. Or my cousin who gave us her Wi-Fi hotspot, which was very thankful. Or which was very helpful, and I'm thankful, I should say. So yeah, shout out to Janae. What else is going on in the world? Oh yeah, I've been, obviously you guys know, kind of a Bruno Mars fan, and kind of have been for a while. I think my favorite Bruno Mars song back then had to be, the B.O.B. song was pretty, Airplanes was big, Lazy Song was nice. Doo-Woops and Hooligans, I think I said that correctly, was a great album. And then 24 Karat Magic was good too. I really liked, obviously, An Evening with Silk Sonic. That was great. I just liked the vibe. Anyway, I saw a lot of people talking about the greatest artists for this generation. And I would have to put Bruno Mars up there, man. I have to put Bruno Mars at the top, I think. A lot of people say it should be Drake, Kendrick. Obviously, those guys are probably more rap. But if I were to put the greatest artists in the past 10 years, I'm putting Bruno Mars, man. The quality of his songs that he puts out, they're awesome, man. And I'm a fan. So a lot of people could say I'm biased, but, you look at the amount of work and the amount of bangers he's put out. Come on, dude. I could probably name 5 bangers that are just really good songs. Locked Out of Heaven, 24 Karat Magic. Let's see. Chunky, another good one. Lazy Song, Bop. That's probably more than 10 years now. Let's see here. That's another good one. You got to put up Leave the Door Open. That's another good one. There's a lot of good ones. So shout out to Bruno if he's listening. That'd be pretty cool if he did listen. But yeah, shout out. Come on the pod, Bruno. That'd be cool. Also, shout out to YAF. YAF did like a secret little like posting. I used to always say, YAF is like that mattress sale. They're saying they're going out of business, and I feel like they finally put they finally put the tail on the donkey. I think YAF shouldn't stop. I think they should give it out another 100 episodes, if you're asking me personally. I think they could do it. I think the 3 of them are smart guys, very educated. I think they have enough time. I think they're all focused on their next chapter, which also is okay. But I was halfway expecting them to, say they have another 100 episodes. Hey, man. Like I've said before, if you guys need another person to help ignite it, hit me up, man. I'm always been a YF fan. Still am. I think I've listened to every episode after like episode 100. So I think I listened to at least 100 of your episodes. So if you guys are listening, Dell, Adrian, or Hirsch, shout out to you guys. The Unks, yeah. Also, I should say I was down in Arizona, didn't see these guys. So I don't know if they're real people yet. They could just be these podcasters that are just down from like, I don't know, out of the 4 directions or something. I said, hey, I'm down here in Arizona. No one met up with me. They were busy. So just letting you know, they're busy guys. I heard they're at a conference. So that's something to look forward to if you're a conference type guy. Conference natives are something else, man. I think I'm getting to the age now where conferences, people are starting to bring up like, hey, you should go to this conference. And that's when you're kind of just getting a little bit older. A lot of people would be like, hey, there's like a threshold. Like you're in high school, it's like, hey, we should go to California, Disneyland or whatever, do this. You get older, people are like, let's go to Vegas for your 21st. Oh, we're going to here, you should come here. And then all of a sudden, you just start getting invited to like conferences that are like maybe an hour away. Maybe you got to take a flight. And I think I'm at that stage in life where I'm 25 now and I'm just getting invited to the conferences. And that's okay. But I still haven't taken up any. You get to that age where conferences are just the thing now. Going to a hotel, the slightly better than continental breakfast, is there. A lot of people are dressed up for like to the nines for really no reason. People are getting drinks. People are, that's just the thing. The conferences are the getaway. I haven't experienced it yet, but I've been seeing people have been going. So shout out to the people who do go to conferences, especially the conference natives, man. The conference natives, man, they find a way to have fun. A lot of people say some of these conferences are dry conferences and that means you can't drink, but some of them find a way, or some of them find a way to tell their story of why they are sober. And that is also a good thing. Let's see. Also, on the topics of what natives do, man, I was noticing at the fireworks stand, I had the opportunity to be back out there and be out there with my people. But, natives just never give addresses. Most of them just be like, hey, it's over by your old auntie's house. You go up the road, you take a right and then a left. There was no MapQuest back to them. They don't want to put it in their phone either. If you notice that, you'd be like, oh yeah, here, just put it in your phone. They'll just be like, no, tell me where it is. I don't know where it is 100 miles away to a res I've never been before. You know where the gym is? Yeah. Okay, then you go up the road, take a right, and then take a left, and then another left, and then you go straight until you hit the cul-de-sac, and then you go behind the White House, and then that's where it is. And they just, it hits them. I don't know what it is. Like me, I'll be honest, I need sometimes the directions on the phone. Helps me drive better, whatever, and I'll forget things. But man, some of these natives, man, they'll be like, just tell me where it is, word for word. Explain where it is and where the sun sets behind it, and I'll find it. And that's impressive. I've always been really impressed by that. There's some things I'll just forget. Someone will tell me their name, and I'll be like, let me get your number, and then I hand them my phone, and then I have them put in their name. And they'll be like, oh, you don't remember my name? I'll be like, no, well, I just like to have people's last name in my contacts too, because I know a lot of, I don't know, Johns. I know a lot of, I don't know, what's another name that's really common? I know a lot of Marks. I got like 4 Marks, and I think they all say Mark and then business, because it's like Mark business guy or Mark with the hair guy. You guys do that with your contacts? Someone doesn't give me your last name. There was a guy who I worked with at Nordstrom. Shout out to him. His name's Santana. I didn't know his last name for a long time. So his name in my phone was just Santana Nordstrom. And I remember I got a call one time from him. He was just saying, what's up? And I was like, oh, shit. Santana Nordstrom, what up? In my head. Anyway. Oh, yeah, another thing. Whatever towel is closest to the door in the bathroom, I'm using that to dry my hands. I don't care if it's a fancy towel, if it's a regular towel, if it's a dirty towel. If it's the closest one to the sink, that's what I'm using. If it's your bougie towel, move it to the other side of the bathroom. I won't use your bougie towels if they're away from the sink, but if they're right next to it, come on. You want me to put it on my light gray compression shorts and then it looks like I peed myself? I'm not doing that. So if you got a fancy towel and you don't want it to get used, don't put it next to the sink. That's just my one kind of rule. Say you're a fancy person, you like to have fancy towels on it, you don't like people to use. Just so you know, for the future, I'm using them if they're close to the sink. What else we got here? Well, I just don't get that, because people are like, oh, I put these fancy towels on and people are using them. It's like, people got to wash their hands. Especially if there's like a special like paper towel or something there, or like an obvious like hand towel, then I'll use that. But if your fancy towel's the only thing in there, I'm not walking out with wet hands. I'm not walking out with wet hands, dude. I'm drying them. I will walk out with wet hands if that's an automatic hand dryer, though. I've heard there's like been studies that like those are grosser, and like poop particles get in there and stuff. And the hand dryers makes me not want to ever use them. So I don't use those. So I will walk out with wet hands if those are in there. But if I'm at a home and there's like fancy towels, I'm using them. It's clean. It's clean. My hands are clean. That's another thing. People get mad about using their fancy towels, but your hands are clean. It's not like I'm wiping my... It's not like I'm, washing up with that towel after I go to the bathroom, Anyway, so yeah, that's my rant on fancy towels. Whatever one's closest, I'm using. Questions. I had 2 questions here that were sent into the hotline. Remember, you guys can always call in the hotline 425-320-3641. These were texts. You guys can text. You guys can leave voicemails. Let me know. What is the most adventurous thing you've ever done, and what did you learn from that experience? Oh, man. So I've talked about the North Dakota trip. I've talked about going to San Diego. I think going to pick blueberries with my girlfriend in Quebec was pretty adventurous. I thought we were going to go and it was going to be like an hour away, but it ended up being 5 hours into another country. And we picked blueberries and it was crazy. We were out in like the woods, man, or they called it, they were out in the bush. And that was really adventurous. I think picking blueberries like it's fun. And I don't know if you guys have seen that Jim Gaffigan stand-up joke where he's talking about picking blueberries. It's not like picking a pumpkin. That's what he said. Picking a pumpkin, you pick it up, you go home. Picking blueberries is like, You're out there for a while picking, and then you go home. But, there was some good stuff that came from that blueberries, gifted them, or we made something nice with them, and it's something special. I'm not a fan of mushy berries either, man. So when you're out there, you get to pick which ones you like. And, it's raspberry season right now, and, people bring in raspberries, and sometimes raspberries are mushy, man. And, a lot of berries are, but the mushy raspberries are not my thing. I like the raspberries to be crisp. Some people like them, not me. They gotta be crisp. All right, my last question before we call it a day today. Let's see what we got here. If you could wake up tomorrow with a new skill or talent, what would you want it to be and why? Oh, that's a really good question. To be honest with you, it'd probably be... Okay, these are the three things that came to my mind. Being bilingual, being fluent in the shoot theater, Spanish would be awesome. Let's see. Also being like really good at piano would be really cool too, because you can play any instrument. You can play basically any song on piano. And then the third thing I thought would be like being a really good with money, like having the skill of like Warren Buffett with money. But I think being bilingual would be better. I think I'd want to be bilingual if I could pick up a new skill. If it had to be one language, I think learning Lashutsi and being able to teach that would be more beneficial to me. But also learning Spanish would be really cool too, like if I were to travel. But I'd rather give back to our people first before learning Spanish. And that's just the truth. I'm going to leave that question with you guys too. If you guys could wake up with a skill or a talent to by the next day, let me know. To the hotline. One more time. If you could wake up tomorrow with a new skill or talent, what would it be and why? Remember to call in your answers, 425-320-3641 to the hotline. Let me know. Call in. Let me know what's going on. I've actually had a couple people call in and tell me some crazy stuff. Nothing too graphic, obviously, but more stuff like, hey, I just moved out, don't know what to do. And they're like, I'm not looking for answers. I'm just looking to talk. You guys can always come here. It's a safe place. I'm not going to post it. But if you want me to, if you want the fans to, I don't like fans. If you want the listeners to chime in and say what they think, let me know. Remember, 425-320-3641. I'll see you guys next week. Also, shout out to the Mariners. Julio, wearing his jersey right now, fell short on the home run derby, but that's okay. Maybe we'll get him next year. Still cool just to even know that all the All-Star Game stuff is going on here in Seattle. Anyways, I'll see you guys next week. If not, I might see you guys the next week because I'll be going out of the country here soon. Or maybe not. I don't know yet. But talk to you guys soon. Hoi.